If you're watching this video, you are probably interested in traveling to India, so I figured I'd give you my top 10 tips on things to avoid while traveling in India. First, sub-tip. Watch where you're going, dummy. Oh boy, vlogging in public in India, almost getting creamed by a scooter. The first tip I would give you, or thing to avoid, is to adjust your frame of reference. A lot of people come here and they think, yes, it does have modernity, there is internet and Wi-Fi, and everybody's got phones and cars, and there's a lot of modernity in India. However, looking at the history, it wasn't in fully, like, industrialization didn't really start in India till after partition in the 50s. Before that, it was all just colonial industrialization for like tea, coffee, rubber, things that the British were exporting back to Europe. And so the development of industry to benefit India as a country didn't really start until the British left. That was around the 50s or the 60s. In the United States, our Industrial Revolution was around 1850 and 1860. So if you look at it in the context of being like you're going back in time 100 years, given that 100-year differential in the industrialization periods, I think that's a good mindset to have, because if you're coming, as much as you want to prepare your mindset, it's going to be total culture shock. But if you think of it in a way as going back in time, like what would you expect the streets of New York City to look like in the 1850s? Second thing I would avoid personally is buying a SIM in India. I bought one once on one of my trips and it never worked right. It never worked at all. So I think there is kind of like a black market of like fake SIMs being sold. So if you can avoid that altogether, just use Wi-Fi. I happen to have T-Mobile, which gives me like, free data and texting internationally. So if you have T-Mobile, that's the way to go. Otherwise, just stick to the Wi-Fi wherever you can. A real key important thing is shoes. You're gonna be walking a lot, so pick some shoes that are durable, comfortable, and most important, not flashy. Because when you enter sacred places, you're gonna have to remove those shoes. And although in a lot of those places you can pay somebody to watch your shoes, they still can get stolen. I met a kid the other day at the Ellora Caves, and I saw on Instagram he posted somebody jacked his shoes. I don't know what kind of shoes he had, but do your best to avoid flashy shoes, flashy clothing in general. Quick disclaimer, I have been to India 4 times and I have made all of these mistakes multiple times. So just so you know, not everyone's perfect. But the next thing I would say, something that a lot of people have questions about is water and ice. I would avoid ice in your drinks at all costs, even though lately I've been pushing it and I have been getting ice in mine. Luckily I have not had to pay the price for that yet, but water, filtered or bottled. Bring your own filter if you don't want to buy a bunch of plastic bottles. First time I was in India, I got violently ill from eating food on a tray that wasn't fully dry. It still had some water left on it, and man, that is not something you want to experience coming out of both ends, believe me. Another common mistake people make is food. Where you choose to eat is very important. If you're gonna try street food, make sure that they're cooking it fresh in hot oil and the stuff hasn't been sitting around for a long time, because a lot of the stuff, especially the street food stuff, they're mixing it with their hands, they're serving it with their bare hands, they're handling money. So you want to make sure, if they are using their hands, especially with the street food stuff, that they're frying it in hot oil. But usually that kills everything. If you're going to eat at a small place, make sure it looks clean on the outside. If it doesn't look clean on the outside, chances are it's not clean in the kitchen. Any opportunity you get after you use the bathroom, before you eat, wash your hands. My wife would say bring some hand sanitizer, although I didn't bring any with me this trip, even though she kept forcing it on me. Wash your hands as much as possible. The bathroom, that is something you must be prepared for as well. You will, sometimes, more and more, you're seeing Western toilets. However, you may still occasionally get like a old school squat toilet. It's just a hole in the ground. You gotta squat down, and you will rarely see toilet paper in a hotel in a kind of an upscale hotel or a hotel that's catered to Western tourists, you'll get toilet paper, but otherwise you'll get the bum gun, which is kind of like a handheld bidet. And so don't make the mistake of not bringing, if you require toilet paper, like if you're on a train or you're somewhere where they don't have anything to accommodate you, make sure you bring a little bit, some tissues with you or whatever you require for that. Because sometimes you won't even get the bum gun, you'll just get like a bucket of water that you need to pour down your butt crack. And the bathroom talk brings up another point, which is a huge mistake I've been doing this whole video, which is gesturing with my left hand. Not recommended. That is a mistake. You don't want to gesture with your left hand because traditionally you eat with your right hand and you clean yourself with your left hand, right? So avoid trying to shake people's hand, touch sacred objects with your left hand, offering money with your left hand, waving with your left hand, gesturing with your left hand. All of those are considered faux pas. And as you can see, I've been doing that the whole time. It's something I still make that mistake. I try not to consciously do it, but it happens, especially when you're holding the camera with your right hand. What else am I going to gesture with? Traveling in India can be overwhelming, but the good thing is they do have a really developed rail system. So you can go long distances on trains that are pretty comfortable. And the good thing to know about the trains is they have a foreign traveler quotient or quota, where they were set aside a certain number of tickets on most trains, I think, for foreign travelers. And the new thing, I don't know how long they've been doing this, but I learned recently you can book those online now. So you can get foreign traveler tickets on the Indian Railway website. It used to be you had to go down to a specific office at only a handful of train stations in big cities, but that's not the case anymore. So you can book those online. And the thing about the trains is when you book a foreign traveler ticket, they won't let you book below a certain class. Third AC, I think, is the lowest you can go. With that, in terms of trains, I would say top or bottom of the bunk, otherwise chair class. But if you book a middle seat, it's I'm getting misted by some mysterious liquid. If you book a middle seat, that's folded down during the day, and they fold up that middle seat in third AC. Not till like 8 or 9 or maybe even 10 o'clock. So top bunk, bottom bunk. If you book the bottom bunk, the other 2 bunks will be sitting on that during the day. So just be prepared for that. Watch your bags on trains. Bags get stolen all the time. I've never personally had anything stolen from me, but I know a lot of people have. So it's just something to be mindful of. People recommend bringing like a chain and a lock. My wife would be one of those people. I haven't found it necessary, and I just got off a 10-hour train ride. Another common way to travel that is the source of stress for some travelers is by auto rickshaw or taxi. And I would say the good thing about India now is they have Uber. So if you don't want to deal with taxis or rickshaws, you can just use Uber. They also have an app called Ola, so you can use that as well. Just be prepared to negotiate with the taxis and the rickshaw drivers. They're going to give you the highest price first. A good estimate for what I found for rickshaws is about 50 rupees per kilometer. It's still a little bit high, but at least you're not getting super ripped off. When in doubt, just use Uber. Also, Uber will give you a baseline reference for what a good price is for where you're going. There are certain scams that, you know, taxi drivers and rickshaw drivers will try to pull. Some cities, they will use a meter. I mean, can you even hear what I'm saying? Some cities, they will use a meter on the rickshaw, like in Mumbai. But even that, like, they're using janky meters now too, so just be careful. Taxi and rickshaw scams, they're global. It's a global phenomenon. But speaking of scams, there are certain other scams that occur here that are pretty common. There's 3 main ones to keep an eye out for. I need to find a quieter, I know this sounds ridiculous, but I need to find a quieter street. It is popping off with some kind of parade festival thing happening. I don't even know what it is, but first time in Bhopal, it's quite a stimulus. It's really popping off here. So maybe I'll find a quieter alley to talk about these last few tips. So the three main scams are pretty much the same as any other scams in any other country. First one is the bait and switch. They will say, oh, that hotel's closed. Your taxi driver will try to take you to some other hotel that he's getting a commission on. Or you're walking down the street going somewhere. Someone says, oh, wherever you're going, that monument is closed, that temple is closed. Let me redirect you to some other thing where I get a commission. It's a bait and switch. Second common one is the beggar scam. The beggars are, depending on the city, Delhi is pretty bad, but people will beg for money, say it's for food, when the truth is, if anyone's hungry, they can get fed in any gurdwara in the entire country. So they feed millions of people every day in the gurdwaras, 3 meals a day, and all you have to do is like wash your feet, cover your hair, something like that, and it's free. Free food is available if they need it. So the idea that they're asking for money for food is just not true. The religious scams are basically like someone putting a tikka on your forehead, throwing flowers at you, and then demanding money. Bakshish, bakshish, yelling for bakshish. I find them to be more common in areas like Varanasi and Haridwar, more kind of sacred areas. Although I was just in Nashik. Hey, hello, bro, how you doing? And I didn't see any there. So it's kind of, if you're going to a very sacred religious place that is popular with especially Western tourists, you will encounter the religious scammers, guys dressed up like gurus, like sadhus, and looking to make some quick money off of giving you a fake blessing. Any true holy man will not ask for money for a blessing. And you can tell the true holy men because they have a shining gleam in their eye and a big smile. And you can tell that they are a true sadhu because they are seeing through the illusion of the Maya. They are seeing the true Brahmin nature of reality. And you can see that in their eye. And you can definitely see an angry scammer demanding bakshish is not a true sadhu, not a true holy man. At least learn a few basic phrases in Hindi. Don't make the mistake that I did when I first came and didn't learn anything. Although I will say Google Translate makes it a lot easier. You can just point your phone at a menu or a sign. It'll translate it immediately in the phone. It also gives you an oral and a written translation. So I have used that a bunch on this trip in places where nobody spoke English. And that's a good sign. If you're getting off the beaten path and you see a menu and there's no English on it, that is where you want to be eating because that is the good food. You know what I'm saying? If you see a lot of English, run from that area because you're not going to get the true experience. I try to mix some humor in there. My jokes don't always translate, but I try to find a couple of things that I could say just to lighten the mood, to take the edge off. Because sometimes communication, it's hard enough as it is across language barriers. But humor is an international language. So if you can get people to laugh, it's a good kind of icebreaker. And one of the ways I've been doing that is, I get countless requests for selfies all the time. Selfie, selfie, selfie. And what I say is, okay, egg selfie. Do, nahi. 2, no. You can take 1 selfie, but if you take 2, it's like, and then they understand that I'm joking and we all have a good laugh about it. But if you can find a way, and this leads into sort of the end of this, and that is that a common greeting here is namaste. And most people just translate it as hello, right? But what namaste literally means from the Sanskrit is I bow to the divine in you. And if you view every person you encounter in India as someone who also has divinity within them, just like you do, it makes you appreciate the experience that you're having. It makes you remember this person is a divine individual, a child of God, just like I am. And so, yes, there are scammers, but just like in any country, there's some bad apples, but most people are good. Most people want to show you hospitality. Most people want to show you their country. And so, even though I mention the scammer thing, it's not really, doesn't play a huge role in my experience in this country. I've been here 4 times, and it's like a 1% of the amazing experience that I've had here has been having to deal with that. But the problem is, if you watch a lot of these videos, tips on traveling India, the same stuff kind of gets brought up a lot, like the scammer stuff. And so people tend to think, oh, everyone's a scammer over there. It's not true. Everyone is not a scammer. Most people are good. But you just gotta keep an eye out. And then eventually you can start to trust your intuition on who to trust and have an amazing trip. And the last thing I wanna say is maintaining a sense of gratitude is critically important. Nobody is forcing you to come here. You know, you want to be here. You want to experience this. So just take everything with a grain of salt as a new experience, as an adventure. Live the adventure fully and be open to everything. New challenges. Just be street smart. Don't put yourself in bad situations. Would I wander around this neighborhood at midnight? Probably not. But maybe I'll do it tonight. One last thing I'll say is it's okay to take a break. I know, like, if you're here for a short period of time, you want to cram a lot of stuff in a short period, and it's like this mentality of go, go, go. You got to see everything, right? It's okay to take a break. It's okay to meditate, do yoga, go to the gym, whatever gets you back to baseline. It's okay to take a day off and take care of yourself. And if you're able to do that, you're going to have a much better experience. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you have a wonderful trip to India. Get out there, find your adventure, and be infamous.
Infamous.